Subscribing to The Observer on YouTube couldn't be easier, and we're going to show you exactly how to do that. First, navigate to www.youtube.com/theobservernj. Once you get there, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button. Next to the subscribe button, click the down arrow and then all. And that's it. You're subscribed, and now anytime The Observer is live, you will be notified. Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Knessa coming to you live from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com on this, the 20th day of January in the year 2026. Sure hope you're enjoying your Tuesdays, no matter where it is you are in the country. Very cold up here in Jersey, 19 degrees right now. Actually, it just went up to 21, but man, that wind is just chilling out there. So if you don't have to go out, stay in. It is brutal out there. So anybody who's somewhere else in the country right now, good for you, because it is not so good around here. But anyway, as you do each and every Tuesday, you welcome me into your home so that I can bring you this week's news. And before I get to the newspaper, I wanted to just wrap something up from something that we talked about last week, and that was the reorganization meeting of 2024 and 2026. And at the last council meeting, Mayor Carol Jean Doyle responded to all the things that were going on, the comments that were being made by two members of the town council to an agency that is not ours. So I just wanted to show you what the mayor said. It was kind of similar to what I had actually said last Tuesday when we were talking about that situation. But I want you to see the mayor's words just so that we can wrap that up. She did address it, and it was at last week's council meeting. Take a look.
The reorganization last Monday was interesting, to say the least. Councilman Zapata and Councilman Figueroa spoke about working together as a team to let differences not get in the way of the government. I think he's speaking about democracy at its best, having tried to bring the council together since 2024 and 2025. I go home the same night to receive an email from Hudson Chronicles that headline reads, Mayor to remove two council members from the Finance Committee for exposing for the $10.5 million deficit. They're saying they found the deficit. They served on the same Finance Committee as me. CFO Ferozzi told us at our Finance meeting and publicly about the deficit at the October 28th council meeting, and I quote, I did a preliminary projection of the 2026 municipal budget on a broad scale. Assuming overall budget increases from $93 million to $95 million in 2026, local revenues increased by 2.5%. And the revenue being increased by 4%, it will require about $10 million in surplus reserves to balance the 2026 municipal budget. The estimated balance in surplus reserves at the year-end 2025 is expected to be $19,200,000, however, as well as the public heard what our CFO reported, and at the meeting of October 28, 2025, we have two finance members now claiming they found the deficit. I also spoke to staffers for the last 2 years. You and the 3 others have done nothing short of stonewalling government. We almost had the state take over our town government because you voted no on introducing the town budget. This is how uninformed you are. The state comes in and makes reductions in expenditures and staff. We would have no say, our hands would be tied. We have asked all department heads and chiefs to look over their budgets and see where we can reduce expenses going forward. That part of the budget process has been completed. Council members Estevez and Rodriguez are going to review the suggestions and implement changes. We're committed to bringing a budget for 2026 with additional adjustments. As a reminder, in 2024, with changes to the reorganization meeting, changes on some of the committees and liaisons, and new 4 had 6 votes at the time and rejected each change I suggested. I smiled to myself and thought of Ernest Hemingway's line, "Did the victor go the spoils?" To be clear, I'm not being vindictive. I'm not the victim. I'm trying my best to be fair. And when the winners asked the departments to chair, I agreed. You were at the caucus meeting and never said a word but Happy New Year. Because of us in 2025, you had the votes, and now in 2026, we have the votes. I was asked to address the headline and the fact that our CFO reported a fair and honest report on where we stand on all budget issues. Council members, I continue to look forward for ways to improve working together. I can assure you that I did not call the press for a headline. A special thank you to the residents that reach out to me to address this inaccurate headline. That's my report.
So there it was, Mayor Carol Jean Doyle addressing the situation last week, and that was one of her more forceful replies over the last 2 years. That was vintage Carol Jean Doyle, what you saw there last week, and it was very strong. It was very strong and 100% accurate. That's the most important part of it all. Before we continue, I want to welcome in a whole bunch of people who are in the chat room that I can see. First, Pat Long is here with us. Good afternoon, Pat. Larry Hanlon is also with us. Orlando Miranda is also here with us. This is a nice surprise to see Orlando here. Orlando is involved with so many different organizations in town, and he works side by side with the veterans in the state of New Jersey, the Latino veterans especially. And he's just about everywhere at all times doing so many different things. So it's very nice to have you here, Orlando. Thank you for stopping by. John Emilio happens to be with us too. Lori Brado, I see, is also with us. And of course, anybody who is in the background lurking around, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it. And I know that you are here in spirit. Now, this week's newspaper. We had talked about it briefly last week, but Jordy Jean is the police officer of the year in Kearney for 2025. Jordy is a great police officer. He's a detective, actually, right now. And every time I see him, I seem to find out that he has picked up some new skill or can do more for the police department than he did before. Just among some of the things that I'm going to just rattle off are recent, including becoming a member of the Hudson County Regional SWAT team. He, with Rich Pulowski, both put together this drone program in the Kearney Police Department that is just second to none. And that was something that those two wanted to do together, and they took the initiative and did it on their own. So this just gives you an idea with some of the great police officers that we do have. But it is also no surprise whatsoever that Jordy would be the police officer of the year. He just seems to be always doing great things in the community, outside of the community, no matter what, whether it's work or play, he's always doing positive things. So congratulations to Jordy Jean on being the police officer of the year and for all of your diligent work in all the things you do for the Kearney Police Department. This is something that happens every couple of years. The Lyndhurst Police Department is looking for reaccreditation. In doing so, there's one day during the process where residents are able to give their input about the way the police department is working right now, and suggestions can be made. So for this is really for Lyndhurst residents only right now. If you want to leave comments, the story on page number 4 this week will give you an insight as to how to do that. And not many people usually do it during the reaccreditation process, but the good thing is it keeps the police departments on their toes at all times, and it's a very prestigious honor when you pass accreditation from the Association of Chiefs of Police that put this together. So take a look on page 4 if you're from Lyndhurst, and all the directions on how you can give some input if you so desire is right on that page. So that's all there is on that, but that is coming up very, very soon, so do not delay. Now, I'm not going to say much about this. The official launch is tomorrow, but I want you to all know that the 2026 Hometown Heroes banner program is reopening next week, but the official launch is tomorrow, so I'm not saying anything else for now. Now, I just want to kind of wrap things up today before I get into sports with a little bit about the person who you see on the screen here on the left-hand side of the screen. That's Brian O'Hara. Brian is the chief of the Minneapolis Police Department. I am sure, unless you have been sleeping for the last 2 weeks, you know that the city of Minneapolis has gone through a lot. And not just recently, but for the last 6 years, going back to the unfortunate murder of George Floyd. After that happened, that police department was in complete disarray. It was a mess. And the mayor of New Orleans at the time decided that he had to do a national search and find somebody who could rebuild that police department. And the person he chose was from the Newark Police Department. His name is Brian O'Hara. And for those of you who are possibly not aware, Brian is a graduate of the Kearney High School class of 1997. So this is an example of a Kearney kid who has done so well in the future. He has handled this situation, which has been extremely volatile over the last couple of weeks, incredibly well. There are times where I saw a video just the other day from 60 Minutes where he was walking along the streets and people were yelling at him, even though his police department has very little to do with what's happening on the big scale in Minneapolis. But he just simply brushed it off and said it's all part of the job. So this is a guy who really has taken on the weight of the world over the last couple of years. But it's a great source of pride to know that when you look and you turn on just about any news channel, you're going to see Brian. And you probably have in the last 2 weeks. But I just always, any chance I get to remind people that this guy is one of ours, it's an important thing to do. So there it is. It's on page number 6. Check it out when you get a chance. All about Brian O'Hara from Kearney, New Jersey, now leading the Minneapolis Police Department. Jason Bernstein has 3 sports stories this week, but I'm going to tell you something. Something happened this week that I don't think we have ever seen happen in all the years that there's been a sports section. And that's going on 24 years, 25 years now when Jim Haig began the sports section here many, many years ago when Lisa and Bobby first took over the newspaper in 2002. There are co-athletes of the week this week, but for the very first time, the 2 co-athletes each scored their 1,000th point in the same week. And we have had co-athletes of the week before, but never has it been because 2 people at the same week scored their 1,000th point. So he's got that. They're not in any order. I don't want anybody to think that one person's getting a slight over the other or vice versa. But a pretty remarkable accomplishment it is to score 1,000 points in basketball, in high school basketball. But that 2 people did it in the same week is pretty special. So congratulations to the 2 athletes who earned their 1,000th point last week. And of course, in the back of the book, there are 2 pages of classifieds, a lot of rentals, as you can see right there. So if you got $100,000 to spare, you can probably get an apartment. And then if you're looking for work done in the house or anything of that nature, there's plenty in this week's edition of The Observer in the classified pages toward the back of the book. And believe it or not, that's it. It's just a little one of those not overly heavy weeks. So it's a little bit, our broadcast today is a little bit shorter, but I want to thank each and every one of you today for logging on and joining us. I noticed that Kenny Evans and Carol Manley are both here too. I didn't get to see you guys before. I apologize. Thank you all for stopping by. And to anybody who's in the background, we thank you as well. You could be doing anything else, but you are here on a Tuesday afternoon on a very, very, very cold day. So we will be back 1 week from today unless anything breaks in between now and then. And until then, from the newsroom of the Observer and theobserver.com, it's Kevin Canessa signing off for now. And we hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Stay as warm as you can, and we'll see you next week. Take care.